Let's be totally honest right now. Let's spill the actual tea. So the reason you clicked on this video is because you also want to stop drinking or cut back or reevaluate how much you're drinking, how often, when, all the things. This video I'm hoping is going to help empower you to, number one, make the decision that feels really, really good to you, but then also to normalize what we're doing right now. There is a movement going on online with the generations that are getting into their 20s, 30s, and 40s, which includes me, who are just ditching the alcohol for a number of reasons. Listen, the last couple of years, you guys know what I'm talking about, they were a little dicey. You know, we were all home. We were then, having happy hour on Zoom together. We were maybe cracking open something at 2 p.m. because why not? The world is a mess. Now that we're a couple of years out of that whole situation, it's a great time to evaluate all of the things. How much you're drinking, when you're drinking, how you feel before and after and during when you're drinking, and then decide if you want to cut back. That's kind of how it all started for me. I realized that I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling good before drinking because it was making me look forward to it. And I didn't like that about me. Like, I started just wanting it a lot more often and looking for that as my stress relief, which you guys know my channel, I talk all about using food for stress relief, food for comfort, food for celebration. We want to break that bond, break that chain. So it started happening with alcohol for me, where it became, let's go out to dinner so that I could get my glass of wine. It was a stressful mom life, stressful day. Where's my glass of wine? Where's my mom juice, as a lot of accounts call it online. It started being a way for me to take a load off. And I did not like that. It was also happening too often. I didn't like that either. And then while I was drinking my glass and I would be thinking about the next glass, filling it up. And then I'd look at the bottle and it would get lower and lower and lower, and it would make me weird sorts of anxious. Do you guys feel like this too? I hope this is resonating. I really wanted to get into my brain, because this is how led me to quit. And after I would drink, of course, we know the repercussions of that. It was just a horrible night's sleep, horrible next day morning, or you get so used to how much you're drinking, like me, where you actually wake up and you feel fine, despite everything you did the night before, as far as how much you drank and how you look in the mirror and you're like, how do I feel fine right now? Because your tolerance is up. And to me, I just knew it was time. It was something that's been a long time coming. So if you're feeling like, ooh, I feel like I need to quit too, realize I didn't quit when I thought that. I quit months later, and I didn't want to, because in my head, I started making excuses for myself where I'm like, well, what about this event that I have coming up? What about, and this is the funny part, what about the next wedding that I go to? You guys, I haven't been to a wedding in, I don't even know, like 10 years. I have no one on the horizon getting married, but for some reason I was like, there is no way I can go to a wedding and not drink. Now, sitting here months sober, which I'll talk to you about that in a second, I feel like the best wedding is going to be the one where I don't drink, and I'm going to feel so good. And then maybe I can even drive other people home, or I could be the DD and I can take care of others, and it'll just be so good. And then I can wake up the next morning without a hangover. It'll be amazing. And I can like the pictures that are taken of me and like how I'm posing and how I'm acting and all of those things. So all of this to say, if you're contemplating cutting back or cutting out alcohol, this video is for you. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is my actual story, just really quickly. I'm not the kind of person who's going to come on here and go, oh yeah, I just quit alcohol and it was easy. There's tons of people out there who are able to just ditch alcohol and it's easy. They can have a beer, or they can have a glass of wine, and they can just move on with their day. That's not me. I have a glass and I can't wait to have the second glass, and I can't wait to have the third glass. And I feel like that's always been ingrained in me. I have a normalizing alcohol in my past, and it was just part of everything. It was part of after dinners. It was part of home culture. It was part of family get-togethers. It was just always around, and it was very normal. So when I got to be an adult and drinking age, it was just normal to come home and have a glass of wine. It was normal to have a glass of wine when I was cooking dinner. If you watch some of my old videos, you will see there's a glass of wine in most of my recipe videos from 2015, 16, 17, 18, all the way up until probably I was pregnant. So All of these things were very normal for me. What I realized is that it's not normal for everyone. And like I said earlier in the video, it's not normal for people who are in their 20s and 30s and 40s anymore. We're not doing that anymore. And I'm obviously older, too. But it's changing. Times are changing. We're realizing a lot of things. We're realizing that alcohol is expensive. It's freaking expensive. It was $15 for a bottle of champagne, and I would buy a couple of them at a time and just have them in the fridge ready to go. You go to get a drink out, you go to get a glass of champagne out, it's $15 a glass. And what I realized is the bills at restaurants are hella cheap, cheaper when I'm just drinking a Coke Zero or I'm getting a club soda with lemon or lime. My two favorite things to get out at restaurants now. And really, on top of it being expensive, we know the health implications now. We know that it's not good for us. There's plenty of reels and TikToks explaining the dangers of alcohol. And all of this to say, if you're feeling like you're wanting to quit or take a break, the answer should be yes. But give yourself the grace to wait until you're actually ready. Because if you try to take this leap before you're ready, you're going to fail. I did so many times. I would quit drinking for weeks. And then it'd be like, oh, well, I can have a glass of wine. No, I can't. I can't. So when I actually quit, I really did a couple of things, which I'm going to outline for you now. I've got my paper here. When I actually did quit, there was certain things that I did to get myself ready to quit and then actually put into motion to quit. Spoiler alert, it was not the easiest thing in the beginning. But I will explain all of that in a second. You really have to want to do it and you want to have to commit to it. So cutting back is one thing. If you feel like you can do that, go ahead. Whatever movement you're making in the right direction, I always say go for it. So if that means you have 4 glasses of wine a night and you're cutting back to 3, applaud yourself, pat on the back, go for it, do it. If you're feeling like you want to quit drinking Monday through Friday and then just enjoy stuff on the weekends, do it. Anywhere that you're going to cut back that feels good to you, move forward. Go for it, try it, test it out, start right now, start today. Don't wait. Don't wait on it. See how you feel. For me, I did all of that. That didn't work. So if you're coming back to this video, which I'm hoping you could rewatch this to not only feel empowered, but also just normalize wanting to quit and normalize maybe my journey is similar to yours in some way and know that if I did it, you can too. So when you come back to this video and you're like, no, I'm ready to quit for good, here's what we're going to do. We are going to let ourselves digest that information, because if you were like me and you made drinking a normal part of your life, it's going to feel like you're losing something, like you're losing your best friend. You're losing something that you used, for me, to cope. I used alcohol to make me happier. I used alcohol to celebrate. I also used alcohol to de-stress as an excuse to just, I need to relax. Today has been a day. I don't do that anymore. The two are not linked anymore. Just like I broke the bond with food, I now have broken the bond with alcohol, and it honestly feels so good. So also to trust that the light at the end of the tunnel is real, and I'm sitting here right now. I've actually been sober 200 days. As I'm filming this video. How cool is that? So today is day 200 and I honestly I'm not tempted to drink and I feel amazing. So just know that it didn't take 200 days either. I've been feeling amazing for a while. But if you are ready to quit for good, give yourself grace to digest that decision. Let it be okay. Mourn the loss of the thing that you're using right now to cope. In whatever way that is. Positive, negative, happy, sad, angry, mad, stressed, whatever it is that you're using alcohol to fill, it's okay. It's okay. And it's normal. It's really normal. And if it's feeling big for you, really look at the logic behind the bigness. Like I said, with weddings, I have no weddings coming up. I have no weddings in the recent past. I have no weddings in my future. And then I decided to say, okay, logically, like that doesn't make sense to be an excuse to keep drinking every weeknight. Like it just doesn't. So I knew that I needed to cut ties completely. So the one main thing that I did is read the book, This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. This book completely changed my life. I have read other alcohol quitting books and none of them resonated the way that this book did. And I recommend it to everyone. I follow a lot of sober accounts. I deleted on Instagram, TikTok, all the things, all of the mommy wine content that I had subscribed to. There's tons of it out there. And they normalized drinking. And it was just, I didn't want to see that especially in the beginning when I was, giving up alcohol. Now I don't even resonate with those accounts anymore because I just don't do those things anymore. I did before, but I don't anymore. So I deleted all of those accounts. I unfollowed them and I just started following some sober accounts. I also started following some sober celebrities and people who were very vocal about their decision to be sober. There's a lot of sober celebrities out there and you might not even realize it. So I cleaned up my social media right in the beginning before I even started quitting. This is just something I did preemptively. It just felt like the right next move. So when I did that, I started getting flooded with the algorithm of seeing people who were thriving and feeling so good and tips and tricks about how quitting changed people's lives. And I was like, that's the content I want to be consuming. When I open up Instagram, that's what I want to see. And it really changed a lot just doing that. You don't realize how subliminally the accounts that you follow mess with your head. So that was a key. And then I started reading This Naked Mind. I cannot say enough good things about this book. When I followed those sober accounts, I will actually go and comment when people are struggling in those sober accounts. And I write, you have to read this book. Just read this book. Please read this book. And your life will be changed. She also has a workbook that goes along with it. I will link both down below so you can check it out. Highly, highly, highly recommend. I listened to the audiobook for This Naked Mind, and then I bought the workbook as a soft cover copy. And I feel like the two of them together, perfection for what we're about to do. In the book, she actually says, don't quit drinking until you're ready. Read this book all the way through and don't quit drinking. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't quit drinking until I was, I think I finished the entire book, or I was on like the very last chapter before I actually said, today's my last day. And my last day of drinking was April 22nd, 2024. So when you look at that, it's 4/22/24. So for some reason, numerology, I love numerology. So I was like, ooh, that sounds like a good day. And it was a Monday. So to me, that just felt like, okay, let's do this. And honestly, guys, I was so ready. I was ready to do it. And then especially with reading that book, the book really empowers you to learn about all the different facets of alcohol and why and how we've normalized it, how we really use it for coping when we really shouldn't, and when there's other things we could do instead. And it really just shifted my mind in the best way possible that no other book has ever done for me. The sun is creeping in on me. But this book really has revolutionized my life. And I know from just reading other people's comments online that it's revolutionized their lives too. How did I find this book? The best way possible. I was wanting to quit at the beginning of the year, quit drinking. And when I was just scrolling on Facebook, I was about to post into my group mastermind for weight loss, and a sponsored post came up. I don't follow these people, nothing. And it was a health and wellness account. And I just happened to look at the comments and it said, oh, I just quit drinking. It changed my life. I read this book. Immediately, it was like, boom, that's a light bulb moment. That's a sign. I go on to Audible. I get the book. Of course, I had a credit waiting for me. I ordered the book, got it, started listening to it that day. And the rest is really history because then I just followed what the book said. And I listened to it. I listened to it while I was on vacation in April in Florida as I'm drinking. And I was like sitting in the chair listening to it. And my sister is looking at me like I'm crazy because she's like, you're listening to a book about not drinking and you're drinking? And I'm like, it's okay. Trust the process. But it all worked out fine. And like I said, April 22nd is when I officially quit. And I can honestly say that I've never regret not drinking. And if you need like a couple of quotes to keep you going, I never regret not drinking is something that's amazing. How many times in your life have you actually regretted picking up the drink? Having a glass of wine or having too many. And then the next day you're like, oh, now I'm going to pay for it. How many times have you regretted the drinking? But I've never once in these past 200 days regretted not drinking ever. And so, okay, let's be totally honest right now. Let's spill the actual tea. So 200 days, I count 200 days sober. Is it actually? No. But this is a great permission slip for you, learning experience for me, and a way that you can look at your life so differently. So on my birthday, so I quit drinking April 22nd. My birthday was June 15th. We were on vacation in Florida, me and my husband and my kids. And I decided at 5 o'clock on my birthday, 5 p.m., I'm going to have a drink tonight. I'm going to have a drink. I deserve a drink. I deserve a drink. I can handle it. You know, I can have a drink on my birthday. Mind you, back then I still wanted to drink. I just wasn't. And I drank. I had a glass of champagne, which turned into another glass of champagne, which turned into another glass of champagne. And it was a vacation. You know, we're in Florida. We're hanging out. We're going here. We're going there. We're having a great time. In, I would say, 4-hour span, I had drank just nothing crazy, but to the point where I hadn't drank for a couple of weeks. So 2 months almost. And I felt like crap the next day on vacation. This vacation that I had been looking forward to for weeks. And I sat there and I was like, what is wrong with you? I'm being honest with you guys about what was going on inside my head. What is wrong with you? What are you doing? How do you feel right now? Like garbage. Yeah, exactly. What lesson did we learn here? And it's like my internal dialogue is going back and forth. And it's like, we're never doing that again. That was not worth it. The first glass of champagne, and this is where I knew I should have stopped, was warm. And I drank it anyway. And I'm like, what are your standards? Never in your life. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And it's this internal dialogue that I had where I'm like, that should have been my sign to say, what are you doing? But instead I plowed forward because that's what we do. So yes, I did slip up. And that does shorten my window of how long I've actually been sober. So if we're going from June 15th, I'm filming this on November 13th. So you do the math. June 15th till November 13th. That's how many days I've actually been sober. But you know, I don't even care about that, to be honest. To me, it's that day, that birthday that I had, it solidified everything for me. I finally was like, yes, this is what we're doing now. There's no more looking back. I don't want to feel like this ever again. Even when I had drank and I hadn't drank for a while, I felt very like woozy and like, oh, and I'm like, how did I do this so often? And now like, I hate this feeling. It solidified so many things for me. It was necessary for my journey. So if you're in the process and you slip up, look for the reasons why this had to happen. It gave me so much confidence in my decision after that birthday. I was like, done. I'm never drinking again. And I haven't. And I don't foresee myself ever doing it again. There's no benefits anymore because I don't want to. I've now gotten over that hump of actually wanting to drink. I don't want to drink anymore. I see other people drinking and I'm like, oh God. Like I can just feel myself getting sick. Number 2, I don't even want to feel the feelings of being drunk anymore or tipsy or anything. That to me feels out of control and I don't want that anymore. And then number 3, of course, I don't want the hangover. Of course, me in my late 30s, I don't want to feel how you feel when you drink and the next morning. So that solidified everything for me. So don't look at that as a slip up. I don't. I look at that as, wow, that solidified for me exactly that what I'm doing is exactly what I should be doing. Like I need to get away from this. I've felt so many benefits from quitting drinking. And these are things that are universal. Like everyone is going to feel better when you ditch the alcohol. You're going to get better sleep. You're going to lose your inflammation. I'm going to put a picture of me when I was drinking. Same exact weight. I'm going to put it right here. I was the same exact weight in both of these pictures. In one, I'm drinking. The other, I'm not drinking. My face has changed. I'm aging backwards because I quit drinking. My wrinkles are less predominant. I don't have the puffiness in my face. I drank, you guys, and my face is snowman face. I joke about it with my family, but like it's just what happens. My inflammation went way down. All of the work that I had been putting into weight training skyrocketed once I quit drinking. My muscle definition got crazy in the best way possible. I started actually feeling like the work I was doing was actually doing something. The bloating in my stomach has gone down. Overall, the inflammation has gone down. You're literally, just think about this. Like this is fact. When we are drinking, we are putting alcohol, which is poison, into our body. That's why we feel tipsy. That's why we feel out of it. Because we're literally poisoning our body. We're making our liver work in overdrive. It's just a mess. So when we ditch that, you get overall healthier like that. Within 10 days, the alcohol's out of your system. Boom. Let's live our healthiest lives. Let's do it. It also helps curb any kind of snacking because you know what happens when you drink. It's not that you crave more food. You don't get the munchies really when you're drinking. Not me at least. But it would make my inhibitions go down. Oh yeah, give me a handful of those Cheez-Its. You know, give me something. And it's like, oh, okay, I didn't even want that, or I wasn't even hungry for that, but the drinking lowers our inhibitions. You ever go to a party and you're like, I'm gonna do so good tonight, but then you have a cocktail and then you're like, I can have that, I can have that. That's where we get ourselves into trouble. And I really want to give everyone that pump of motivation now, that even if you're thinking this is going to be hard, it's so small and minute. If you can get through those first 3 weeks, month at the most, your cravings will go down. Within 10 days, the alcohol's out of your system. So if you can get through those first 10 days, then know that your body has processed all the alcohol, and now you can start really ramping up the health inside of all of your organs. You can really change your life then. It gets so much easier every single day. The hardest part for me was right after I decided to quit drinking, we did a overnight trip at Great Wolf Lodge with me and my husband and my kids, and I wasn't drinking. And this would be a time where we'd be at Great Wolf Lodge and we would just be drinking. And then of course you're staying there, you have a hotel room. So it's, again, we would go out to dinner. Out to dinner was very hard for me. I felt like pins and needles the whole time. Walking around, watching everybody with their big, not that I would be drinking that, but they did have wine there, but they would be drinking these big tropical, like frozen cocktails. And I'd be like, but that was probably the hardest moment. That was like my peak. That was like the hardest moment ever for me. But I was like, you know what? I'm getting through this. That day where we were at the water park all day. And if you don't know Great Wolf Lodge, it's an indoor water park with slides and all these like wave pool and things like that. And then you can stay there too at the one in Pennsylvania. So I was white knuckle gripping it the entire time. And I had to keep telling the addiction inside of my brain, we're not going back. We're not going back. And this is in April. And it was literally the week, 2 weeks after. I was like 2 weeks sober at that point. And it was hard. But I told myself, you're not doing it. And all you have to tell yourself if you're feeling like that is, I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not walking up to that bar. I'm not ordering the drink. I'm not drinking the drink. I'm just not doing it. And then you just keep telling yourself, you're not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I will tell you, I white knuckle gripped it all through the day at the water park. I went out to dinner at this really nice restaurant they have there. It's so pretty. They have all these specialty cocktails. I got a club soda with lemon and lime. I think I drank like 3 of them because I was just like nervous drinking. I was like nervous sipping on this club soda. And then we go back to the room. I got back to the room. I got my pajamas on. I got the kids' pajamas on. We're just watching TV. We're relaxing in bed. And I'm like, okay, you did it. Like you got through the hard part. I still wanted to drink at that point. But I was like, no, you're okay. And I think I cracked open like an Olipop like soda, like gut health soda in the room because I was just like nervous energy, just wanted to drink something. So I did. And I was fine. And then the next morning, I woke up. I had so much like exhilaration for what I had just accomplished. I was like, if I can accomplish this, if I can get through this, I can do it. Because that was hard. And I'll tell you, that was my peak. After that, it got super easy. So you will be tested. How much you want to be tested is up to you, because I feel like if I had done that Great Wolf trip, not 2 weeks after I decided to get sober, but maybe a month, I wouldn't have felt as tempted because the alcohol is just not in my system anymore. The routine was still kind of there. So it felt a lot harder. So if you want to literally just cancel your plans for a couple of weeks and just say, listen, I got to do this for myself, and just kind of keep it low key, stay home, not put yourself in situations where alcohol is going to be a temptation, it won't be that hard. But I decided, of course, I do everything the hard way sometimes. So I just decided to throw myself into that situation. We had booked that trip a couple of months ago when they had a sale going, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep the trip. So if you're going through this right now, please keep going. The light at the end of the tunnel is so real. It really is. And I will say I am so proud of myself. I was just about to curse. I'm so proud of myself for sticking through that Great Wolf trip, because that trip defined my whole journey. The Universal Florida trip in June was another learning experience, but in the very beginning, that really solidified how powerful I really am and how I can really face the demons going on inside my head, really, of like, come on, you can just have a drink. You're at a theme park, whatever Great Wolf is. You're here. You're just having a good time. You can have one drink. For me, it's never just one. That's not the way my mind works. It's not the way it's ever worked. So I know for me, it either had to be, and I know I say this all the time about all or nothing, like don't let it be all or nothing with weight loss. With drinking, for me, it had to be all or nothing. I had to just be done officially. I had done the game where you quit for a little bit, see you have a glass of wine, and slippery slope for me. So I knew it had to be all or nothing, but I was actually really ready. So it was fine. So tips for you, it gets easier. If you're facing that struggle point moment, push through, power through. You are so strong and resilient. You can do this. Don't let that define you. Let yourself feel the feelings of like, I really want it right now. I really want to drink right now. Let yourself feel that feeling and then say, but I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to go and do the actions to get the drink. I'm just not going to do it. And just keep telling yourself, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. The feeling will pass. It will pass. I had to keep reminding myself of the bigger picture of why I was doing this. It's easy to fall back into your routines and habits that are not so good. It's so easy. It's like our comfort zone. Even though we don't like it, it's still our comfort zone. It's still the place where we find so much comfort, even though it's uncomfortable. The uncomfortable comfort zone is so real. So instead of letting that define us, let's instead push through and say, no, I have to have my why. What are your whys? If you're going into your not drinking journey, write down why you're doing it. Make a list in your journal that you can refer back to so that when you're having those weak moments, you can say, no, I'm not going back there because this is why I quit. This is why I'm wanting to quit. These are the reasons. Have a really strong, powerful why will carry you through for losing weight or for quitting drinking. And then another thing that I kept doing is one of my whys is I want to be really healthy now so that I can be at my kids' weddings. I want to be there. And if you didn't know, my dad had passed away before my wedding. And it was a really sad moment for me to not have him there. And I don't want that to happen for my kids. I want to be there for them. I want to be the healthiest version of me. I'm just done with anything that is not aligned with me being the healthiest version of me. So I'm chipping away at things here and there. Drinking, I knew, was a big one, and it had to go. And while I was at Great Wolf, I kept having this flash in my head, and I was like, no, I have this memory of me dancing with my son at his wedding. And like, will drinking stop me from being there? Who knows? But I know that if I want to be my healthiest self, I have to ditch it. And so I kept thinking that. I was like, I have to keep thinking of these memories because that is what carried me through. Get a memory, get your whys, and keep them close to your heart so that you can remember them in the difficult times where you're feeling like you're wavering and you really want to go back on everything that you said you were going to do. On YouTube, I actually put a question box for all the questions that everybody had about quitting drinking. I'm going to do a part 2 to this video. I'm already planning it, but I wanted to get the input from everyone watching this video also. So I have the YouTube questions from my post, and then down below in the comments underneath this video, comment your questions. Comment your questions about drinking, quitting drinking, anything that has to do with this topic so that I can answer them in my next part 2 video. It's going to be all of your questions being answered. I really want this to be a communal space where we can talk. There's no judgment. If you do want to be anonymous with your question, DM me on Instagram. And that's linked below. I'll put the handle on here. Follow me there anyway, guys. I'm on there every single day. It's a great way to kind of connect with me also on a more personal level. If you do need help with weight loss, I'm your girl, because this is all about being the healthiest version of us. If you're watching this, it's the end of 2024. If you're watching this close to when I post it, we can literally change our lives before 2025. But if you're watching this in 2025 or even beyond, your life can change at the blink of an eye for the better. So let's use that energy to get to be the healthiest version of all of us. Like, you don't have to do everything overnight all at once, but what you can do is make plans to be the healthiest version of you and then check the boxes for becoming that version of you, going from where you start to this new healthy version of you. It's possible, but we have to start somewhere. And I'm hoping that on my channel and my Instagram, I'm really empowering you that you can totally change your life. You have to decide though. The key word is decide. You have to decide that you want your life to be different, and then we need to take actions that feel aligned with our soul and our goal self, and then move forward. Move forward positively. So I hope you guys liked this video. Give me your feedback down below. Also leave your comments for part 2, and I will see you really soon with my next video. Bye guys.